Ben Affleck returns as savant and assassin Christian Wolf in The Accountant 2. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new movie, The Accountant 2. This is a sequel, of course, to the 2016 movie, The Accountant. And on screen, this is actually called The Accountant Squared because you have the 2 up in the corner as an exponent. That's obviously an accounting joke. But not only does Ben Affleck return, but many of the cast members and people behind the scenes as well are returning for this installment. The writer and director are the same as the first movie, so that is usually helpful. So we'll talk about this in just a second. But first, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a Dan Reviews subscriber already, thank you so much for that. I love it when you guys return and check out my stuff. But if you are not, please consider subscribing and click that notification bell. Or you can just like this video, comment below. That stuff, of course, helps the channel out tremendously as well. All right, so you have Ben Affleck returning as Christian Wolf, but you also have Jon Bernthal, Cynthia Ade Robinson, and briefly J.K. Simmons, all coming back from the first movie. Newcomer Daniela Pineda joins the cast, but you have the same director, Gavin O'Connor, the same writer, Bill Dubuque, so that usually is to a film's benefit if you can get a lot of the original cast and crew back on board. And there is a third one, by the way, in the works, I will say that. But so basically, in this one, we've got J.K. Simmons. Like I said, he returns briefly. His character dies in the first scene. So that's, not really a spoiler. It's like 2 minutes into the movie. But essentially, he was on a journey to find these missing kids and some families. And so essentially, not only are they trying to figure out who killed the J.K. Simmons character, but also try and kind of avenge his death with solving the case of these children. So you have Treasury agent Mary Beth Medina, who is Ade Robinson. She ends up contacting Christian Wolf once again to help solve the murder and, like I said, the rest of the case. And so they recruit Jon Bernthal, who is Wolf's estranged but highly lethal brother, and the two of them try and solve the mystery together. And I will say, I did not love the first Accountant movie. It was very average for me. I gave it like a C or a C+. And it came kind of on the heels of a lot of these movies where people who you would not expect to be adept killers are adept killers. John Wick, The Equalizer, both of those had just come out, and obviously there was a string, and still is, I guess, of the Liam Neeson movies. It started with Taken, and then all of these movies were so hot at the time. He was releasing like 1 or 2 a year. So anyway, The Accountant sort of comes on the heels of all of that. And here it's his autism, his savantness that helps him become this, precision deadshot killer. And so the first movie, I gotta say, I tried to rewatch it before this one because I had only seen it once, and I started it, and within about 5 or 6 minutes, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to spend another 2 hours with this movie. I never really planned on rewatching the first one. I never thought there would be a sequel. But I just decided to read a synopsis instead and kind of remind myself of what happened. I don't think it's necessary to have even seen the first one, really, to sort of be up with what's happening in 2, although I think it does certainly help with some of the connections to the characters. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't really have even known who J.K. Simmons' character was. So, it helps, I guess, to at least have some cursory knowledge of that first movie, even if you never saw it. But it still is not something that I think I want to revisit. But I will say this is a better film. And I'm not alone in that thought. I believe both the critic score and the audience score is a bit higher for this installment than it was for the first one. And to me, that makes sense because the first one, I just think was so generic. Here we have something that is a little more interesting because you've got the characters being explored a little bit more. Like, I wouldn't even necessarily call this an action movie. I would call it a thriller maybe, or even like you could even say maybe like a spy thriller because they're using, some technology and what have you. But there's a big action sequence at the front. That's where J.K. Simmons' character meets his demise. And then a really big one at the end, and then there's like a kind of little one in the middle. But for the most part, this is more about exploring the characters, the drama of it, the mystery of what is going on and how it's going to be solved. And there's a lot of stuff between Affleck and Barenthal's characters as the estranged brothers. We learn, a little bit more about um, the autism of Wolf and how that affected their family dynamic growing up and him and his brother and all that. I'm still not sure. This was kind of a sticking point in the first movie, but I'm still not sure that this is exploring autism in the way that maybe I think it should be, because it feels like it's sort of like a gimmick, I guess, and that to be of worth, you have to also have some kind of like superhuman strength or power or whatever. And I don't love that message. I got to be honest about that. But I think in general this is a better film. I did miss Anna Kendrick. Yes, of course. She's always great, but she was doing her own sequel with Another Simple Favor, which I have to review at some point. But I think on the whole, this movie does just about everything slightly better than that first one. And it's funny too. I think this one has a lot more humor in it than I remember in the first one. I think the first one was just let's get a kind of generic action movie. Let's have a lot of action sequences. That is not what this is. So if you go in expecting, this intense thrill ride the whole movie, you're not going to get that, but I think you will get a better written film and a more interesting one. So with that, I leave The Accountant 2 with a B minus. It still has certainly some of the same flaws as the original with the character itself, but I think on the whole, this is certainly the better picture. So. And like I said, we can expect the third one at some point as well. I guess maybe that will be called The Accountant Cubed, because we'll have that 3 up at the corner there. But in any event, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It, and I'll see you next time.